I'm going to go ahead and get going. Because as you may have noticed in the title of this episode, I have had a bit of an epiphany, easy for me to say, right? I've had a bit of an epiphany, you know what I mean, recently. And I'm really excited to share it with you today if I can say it. So I want you to take just a second and think about what your biggest challenge is with Facebook advertising. Now, for those of you who are watching this on Facebook rather than listening to the podcast, it would be great if you would put in the comments below, since those are time-stamped to the video, and I will stall for just a few seconds to give you time to do that. Now, for those of you who are listening to the podcast, just get clear in your own mind what this is. What is your biggest challenge with Facebook ads and Facebook advertising? Now, I ask this same question as part of a free Facebook ad assessment that I offer, which I will put a link to in the show notes if you're interested. And I also talk with a lot of people about their Facebook advertising in coaching calls and in sales calls, in the Facebook ad questions group. So so I'm just looking at answers here. So I'm betting that your biggest challenge with Facebook advertising boils down to one or more of these three things. Number one is time, of course. Number two is return on investment, or ROI. And number three is just figuring out the Facebook ad platform itself, right? I bet you. I'd bet 97% of you that your biggest challenge falls in one of those three categories. Well, what if I had an epiphany that just solved these problems for you? What if I figured out how you can get great ROI with very little risk in very little time and without having to figure out all of that Facebook advertising platform at all? Well, or at least not all at once, okay? You'd want to know what that was, wouldn't you? So here it is. Here's my epiphany. Everyone has been taught to implement Facebook advertising as the classic top-down funnel, meaning we start by bringing in cold traffic in the top of the funnel with free content, and then we get their email address with a lead magnet, and then we offer them some sort of loss leader, which is often called a tripwire, as like a micro commitment. And then we offer them our core product, and then come the upsells, which are sometimes called profit maximizers. Okay? Now, this is not wrong per se. In fact, I, as some of you know, have been coaching people through exactly this process in my Inner Circle program. But the thing is, this works really great if you are a big brand like Digital Marketer who popularized the whole concept, or you are a highly profitable small business that can pay someone like my friend Josh Marsden over at CVO Acceleration 5 figures, like not low 5 figures either, really, to fully implement the whole process for you. Works great. Or you are an internet marketer, so your business is creating these funnels. As the Geico commercial says here in the States, it's what you do, right? But let me tell you who this doesn't work that well for. Everyone else. The other 98% of small businesses. And let me tell you the problem that I've come to for the other 98% of us. It's that the top-down funnel approach is just too freaking time intensive. I cannot tell you how much time I have spent in hours on my funnel. And I mean, it's there, but it is I would never say that it's fully implemented, and it is certainly not optimized. And even if it was, it still needs to be refreshed periodically. Now, I don't know about you, but that is not my full-time job. It is a critically important part of my job. And in fact, I have argued and will continue to argue to my dying day that it may be the most important part of my job. But my business delivers tangible products and services. You know, like we have bills to pay and people to manage and crises to manage, just like you do. And also, for me, this is a lifestyle business. If I turn the camera just ever so slightly, right outside my office window, there are my horses. Put that back, right? So the purpose of this business for me is to pay for my pillow, which is my other passion outside of helping people and building companies. So I'd actually like to have enough time to play, you know what I mean? So here's the rub. The top-down funnel is only as effective as the degree to which you have it properly built out, tested, and optimized. I think that's like a tweetable, so I'm going to repeat it again. The top-down funnel is only as effective as the degree to which you have it, see, I had to think about it, the degree to which you have it built out, properly built out, okay, tested, and optimized. Now, my friend Josh, who I mentioned earlier, he has no idea I'm calling him out in this broadcast, but anyway, he guarantees that he can double your funnel in 6 months. And actually, I should probably be a little careful because I don't want to put words in his mouth exactly when I say anyway, I don't mean to do that, but he guarantees return on investment on the funnels that he builds for people. And he is confident that he can produce an ROI because he knows that he has the resources, the expertise, the time, and the money to build out a proper funnel. He split tests and he optimizes. He can run ads testing audiences and copy and images and offers. He has, 6 months plus and a bankroll to deliver on his promise. But most of us don't have that. If you do, then you should build that top-down funnel or have Josh build it for you, okay? That is the ideal. Let me just be clear, okay? But it doesn't work for many of us. And just one more point before I move on to what I think is the answer for the other 98% of us. I have been auditing a number of the more popular Facebook advertising courses recently, and all of them teach some variation of the top-down funnel approach. And not one tells you straight up how much time and money you need to invest to be successful. Now, a couple hint at it, but nobody is saying it straight to your face. Because I can tell you from my very own experience, it is really hard to sell your program when you do. So, let me just carry down on that thought here for just a second, right? Because in that case, when you do, you limit yourself to those people who can spend the time and money and are really, really committed to implementing. And that's a really, really small pool of fish, okay? So it's no wonder in my free Facebook ad assessments that only 5.9% of respondents say that they are, and I quote, really happy with their Facebook ad results. 5.9%. Okay, so what's the answer then, Kim? Well, it turns out it's really, really pretty simple. See, it dawned on me when I was doing the free masterclass on retargeting. There are instant results, big results. I have been able, in some cases, to 3x my result almost overnight with very little time, very little money, and not a huge prerequisite of knowledge of Facebook by simply turning that funnel upside down, the reverse funnel. Now, what do I mean by the reverse funnel? Well, instead of starting with new leads from cold traffic, which takes a lot of time and money, and and it may not work. It's certainly not going to work right away while you're getting it dialed in. The idea with the reverse funnel is to start with where you are and work backward. So let me explain. Actually, even better, let me give you an example. Now, again, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I'm going to put up an image right here on my screen of my funnel, and the same image is in the cheat sheet for this episode with all the other show notes. You can get that at sync2crm.com/EP12, E as in episode, P as in podcast, and the number 12. That's sync2crm.com/EP12 for that cheat sheet. Now, give me a second. Let me just put that up. Okay, so that is my, let's get rid of that a little bit. There we go. So for those of you on Facebook, you can see I've kind of squished it to make it fit. But that's just an example of a typical funnel. And it's the funnel that I'm working on right now. So the idea with the reverse funnel is, rather than building all this out, let's imagine that I used retargeting to pick off money already sitting in my funnel instead. So let me get rid of E. I offer 2 Infusionsoft courses. Learn Infusionsoft Fast and Campaign Builder Mastery. I don't promote them, even though they are, in my humble opinion, they are really great classes. I generally don't promote them, but they're there. They're on my website. Anyone can find them, and anyone can sign up for them anytime they want because they're online courses. Okay. Now, in ActiveCampaign, which is the marketing platform that I use and recommend, I can do a search of everyone who has viewed an Infusionsoft how-to post on my blog or the sales page for either one of those 2 courses, but has not bought one of those 2 courses. Okay? So stick with me here. My Infusionsoft courses go for $497 each. So there's some money there, right? Yes, people, probably a good hunk of money there in the people who have visited Infusionsoft pages, or including the sales pages, but have not bought. But normally, that money just sits there, does nothing. I don't go after it, right? Now, I also use our software, Sync2CRM, to sync my lists from ActiveCampaign to Facebook, so I can use those same lists in my ad targeting. So in addition to knowing which of my contacts in ActiveCampaign are in that leaky bucket, I can do the exact same thing over on Facebook. I can tell Facebook to find anyone it knows has visited those same pages, excluding the list of people who have bought, and then show them an ad. So Facebook knows which of its users have visited those pages on my site, because not only do I have the ActiveCampaign pixel on my site, but I also have the Facebook pixel installed on my site. So both are keeping track of that. That's how they know. And Facebook also knows who has already bought those courses so that it can exclude those people from my ad targeting because, as I said just a minute ago, I use Sync to CRM to keep that list synced between ActiveCampaign, where they get tagged when they purchase, and Facebook. Okay? Are you following me so far, you guys? I'm just gonna check. Yeah, man. Okay. So, what I do is I create two things. An email campaign, maybe with a flash sale for everyone that I identified in ActiveCampaign as having, visited but not bought. And then I build a Facebook ad campaign advertising the flash sale to the exact same lists, visited but hasn't bought. And I run those simultaneously for, let's just say a couple days, okay, because it's a flash sale, so for a couple days. Now, let's just think about that compared to the whole top-down funnel approach. All right, actually, no. Let me clarify one more thing first. Sorry, I'm trying to there's a lot of content. I'm trying to keep it together so that you can follow. The overlap between the people on my email list who visited but didn't buy and the visitors on my Facebook pixeled list are going to look like a Venn diagram, right? Some will be both pixeled Facebook users and inactive campaign. So those people are going to receive both. They are going to get, basically over the same time period, ads and emails. Now, why would I do that? Because of two facts. One is that we know from research that someone who sees both ads and emails is 77% more likely to convert than someone who sees one or the other. We also know that on a good day, only 30% of people will open your emails. And that's if you have a pretty engaged list, okay? You're with me? So what happens is by doing both to the ones that we have in both, in that overlap, we are greatly extending the reach of that email campaign, right? Now, going back to the Venn diagram, some are only going to be in my email list because for whatever reason, Facebook wasn't able to match those people up to one of its users, okay? So those people are going to get an email only, and that's fine. And then likewise, some of the other folks, right, on the other side of that diagram have visited my Infusionsoft pages, but for whatever reason, so far, have chosen not to opt in. So they're not in ActiveCampaign, and so they're just going to get ads. So you have some who are going to get just ads, some who are going to get just email, and the overlap are going to get both. Now, if I run this little campaign, which I am, by the way, this is what's making, right? I'm talking as I'm doing. I'm going to start running this tomorrow, all right? So let's just think through the difference now between this and the whole top-down funnel approach, okay? You can see that the time required to do what I just outlined for you is minimal. The risk is minimal. I am running ads to a laser-focused group of people who already know me and to whom they will be highly relevant. And also, and this is kind of key too, that group is going to be much more forgiving if my ads aren't 100% perfect. The cost is going to be almost negligible. Okay, at $5 a day for a budget, if I run it for 4 days, we're talking $20 or so. If all I'm doing is a flash sale. But the potential return on that $20 investment at $497 per course is ridiculous. Even if I only get one, right? Given the amount of time, and I'm not, but if I did, right? $497 on $20 and that much time investment, ridiculous, okay? And once I set this up, I can just let it run as an evergreen campaign. Not if I'm going to do a flash sale, obviously, but I can take that, modify it ever so slightly, and turn it into an evergreen campaign that just runs all on its own with just the occasional refresh like you have to do with everything else. But by doing this, it brings new leads into the top of the funnel, albeit much smaller than the other way, right? The top down way. It's going to be a much smaller number, but and the reason it's going to do that is because some of the people on my list, again, are going to buy or come visit the site who hadn't opted in yet. So now they're going to be, on my list, right? You get the idea? And here's the beauty of it. There are tons and tons of these opportunities everywhere in your business if you have an established business. And that actually should be another caveat, I guess, because where this works best is in a business where we have all of this stuff. We have pieces, we have some content and some landing pages, we have products that are for sale, and as such we have all of these opportunities to pick money up off of the floor, basically, right? Where what I said earlier, if you're an internet marketer or a really highly profitable business, you're probably better off building the top-down funnel. And I'd say actually that if you're a startup, and you don't have products yet, you don't have a lot of this built out, you probably are also better off going the top-down approach. Because again, this kind of works better when you have kind of more of a mess, honestly, right? The bigger kind of your mess is, the more pieces you have, but they're not congruent and tied together perfectly in a funnel, the more opportunities there are going to be with this sort of reverse funnel, all right? Now, and talking about those opportunities, I've started to think about them in my own business in terms of 3 different categories. And those categories are product interest, engagement, and leaky buckets, okay? And there is a systematic way that you can tackle these, starting in reverse, tackle them. And imagine if all you did, right? We could make a challenge out of this. Imagine if all you did was tackle one of these and implement it one each week. Can you see how much easier and more manageable and profitable that would be? Now, are the dollars going to be as big as if I built out that full funnel? Nope. But let's do some math, okay? I'm bad at math, but I like it. Let's say that I have the potential to earn an extra $3,000 per month from my new course retargeting campaign. And the odds that I will get it fully implemented, I would say are about like 98%, right? And the payback period is like days. Okay. Now the alternative, which is the full funnel, has the potential to bring in, let's say, an extra 50 grand a month, a lot. But the odds that I'm going to get that fully implemented, okay, and operational, and remember I said that those funnels are only as effective as the degree to which you get them fully implemented, tested, and optimized, okay? So the chances of that, quite honestly, are, for most of us, are about 2%. And you put your own number on it. But and the payback period is more like 6 months. So for you, because this is an individual question, based on that math and whatever that math looks like for you, which is better? Because again, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but if you have the time and the money and the expertise to get the full funnel implemented, the math says that's going to be better. But if you don't, or you just want to dip your toe into the water in this Facebook ad game and implement a little bit at a time, and even just learn a little bit at a time, which is the other real beauty of doing it this way, then this is going to make a lot more sense, right? So that's what I was so excited about. So I'm going to wrap it up there, and I'm going to try to take some of your questions, assuming, yay, Pete, thank you. Pete's liking the content. So I'm going to try to take some of your questions. Let's see. And hopefully found that helpful, right? Okay, so remember that in this week's episode number 12 cheat sheet, I have rounded up all the notes, the links, the resources from the broadcast, and actually this week you may have noticed there were more of them than usual. Everything that I mentioned I've linked to in the cheat sheet, but also here's a little bonus for you guys. I have also included in the cheat sheet this week screenshots of both my active campaign targeting, so you can see how I am able to just pick the ones who visited certain pages but not bought in active campaign, and also the same for the ad targeting in Facebook, okay? And then how you would use those to simultaneously run email and ads to both. You can see that in the cheat sheet. So you can get all of that again, it's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It's sync2crm.com/EP12 as in E as in episode, P as in podcast, and the number 12, EP12, right? So let me summarize and then I'm going to take your questions, okay? Where are the cheat sheets? Ron, I just told you, go to sync2crm.com/EP12. And when you go to that page, you just scroll all the way to the bottom and you will see a button that says, it's an orange button that says get the cheat sheet. And that's how you get it. Okay, so here's the summary. The way everyone is teaching you to implement Facebook ads is the top-down funnel. And that is ideal if you are a profitable business that has a lot of time, money, and expertise, either in-house or consultants, or you are an internet marketer whose business is creating funnels, okay? But for the other 98% of us, it's a challenge. It is, okay? Now, it's probably not a surprise, but I did verify that the people who are selling you Facebook courses, for the most part, are not telling you how hard this is, because number one, it is very hard to sell your program when you tell people the truth, or worse, maybe they don't know small businesses well enough to even understand that they're taking your money for something that you can't possibly implement, which is also a possibility. And so I think that the better way for many of us, if not most of us, is this reverse funnel. And the idea of the reverse funnel is to pick off one small project at a time towards the back of your funnel, which requires much less time, money, risk, and expertise. And once you get it running, you'll just want to leave most of them up and running as an evergreen campaign, in which case you are actually building the top-down funnel. You're just doing it in reverse order and doing it in baby steps, which is and with some hopefully profit along the way. And then finally, these mini campaigns are everywhere in your business, everywhere. It is just money waiting to be picked up. As I said earlier, all you got to do is start looking. So with that, I'm going to peel off here and check your questions, and then we'll wrap up for this week. Okay, so let me scroll down. I've got a couple of nice thought process. This is awesome content. Thank you, Mark. Content is always fantastic, which is awesome. But you guys have any questions on that? I know that many of you who are on the live broadcast are some of my regulars, and so probably a lot of this is not new. It's just been the dots are connected in a different way. But if you have any, and by the way, it doesn't have to be on this. If you have any questions about anything, I am always open on Infusionsoft, Active Campaign, small business marketing, Facebook, anything. And if you don't, I'll give you guys just about a minute, because there is about a 30-second delay here. I'll tell you what I'll do. While I am stalling, just to make sure I don't walk out on any of your questions, I will tell you just one more time where to get that cheat sheet. Okay, good. Couple questions. So I'll put off the cheat sheet. I'm probably going to pronounce your name wrong. Takashi says, what's evergreen? So that's a great question. When I say a campaign that is evergreen, it means like a tree, like an evergreen tree that stays green all the time. You know, it doesn't go through seasons. In a campaign, what that means is that it is set up in such a way that it just always runs. There are always people coming in the top of that campaign, and they make their way through it and out the bottom. And you don't have to really do anything. It just runs automatically. And with the exception that, like, you know, almost anything that we do that we call evergreen, like our websites and things like that, you do have to freshen them up. They get stale, you know, things like that. But other than that, it just means that they run. Maybe another word for evergreen would be autopilot. You turn it on and you just put it on autopilot. Okay? Hopefully that helps. If I haven't explained that well enough, ask me again. And thank you for that question. Mark says, what are your thoughts about having a download button for a Facebook ad to go to a blog ungated? So so I assume, Mark, that your question is on the call to action buttons on an ad when you are running it to, as you said, a blog post, ungated blog post, which is the kind of the read magnet, I heard it called the other day. I don't like it. And I'll tell you why. I prefer not to use call to action buttons on the initial ads to cold traffic that are pointing to content, because those people don't know you and you're trying to do absolutely everything in your power to get someone to click on that ad. And the moment they see that button, then they instantly know it's an ad. And even though, of course, in the back of our minds, we all know it's an ad, it still creates this subconscious barrier to somebody clicking, even when it says download, especially download, actually. I mean, they don't give you they don't have like they have a more information button, which is probably the least threatening button that they have. But I want that to look like any other post from their friends and their mom. That's the idea. And so that call to action button ruins that. Now, you should, once you start running it to retargeting to people who do know you, that's where you should test the call to action button. Because in the beginning they were working really, really well. Now they aren't working as well. But there are definitely places where, different audiences, depending on how well they know you, you want a call to action. You want to be very clear about what it is you want them to do. I would test both. That would be one of my split tests. Okay? I thought it was clever too. Mark says he loves that term read magnet. I wish I'd come up with it. I didn't. But it's good. So for the read magnet, what's your thoughts on long copy format for these ads? I don't think that the read magnet ad needs long copy. The rule is the amount of copy is in direct proportion to the size of the ask. And because the ask is tiny here, all you're asking for is a click. No opt-in, no nothing. All you have to do is reassure them, about what they're going to get, and that it's worth their time, and that it's not a trick, it's not some sort of bait and switch, and arouse enough curiosity, first you have to get their thumb to stop scrolling, right? Then reassure them and arouse enough curiosity to get the click, and that is it. So that's all the text needs to do, so I don't think it really needs that much. Now, once you get into other things, again, down the funnel, now, especially things like webinars and, that's a huge ask, or a purchase of something that's either expensive or confusing. Huge ask. Now you better explain a bunch, because I am not leaving that post unless I feel 100% confident in where I'm going and what I'm going to get and see and how I'm going to be treated when I get there. Does that make sense? Okay, Ron says, if I want to launch a new product, what is better, Facebook group or fan page? It's not better. They're different. They're totally different. You have to have a Facebook fan page in order to run ads. That's what your ad account is attached to. And there are other benefits of having a fan page. It's not reach, but those likes that accumulate while you're running your ads, you can target those people with your ads as a ad target. You can also create lookalike audiences, friends of fans. Sorry, not lookalike audiences, friends of fans, which is one of my favorite targeting strategies. So you have to have a page. It's a prerequisite to run ads, and if you're going to have it, you should do a good job with it. There are some people that say it's useless. I totally disagree. So you've got to have that. Now, the purpose of the group, the thing is, everybody wants to know, like, can I target the people in my group? Nope, I can't. But just here's the answer. Actually, the simple answer, Ron, is if you look at the people who are on this broadcast, almost every one of them is in that group. The thing about your group is that they're going to be your super engagers. And that's why you want one. They're going to be your best buyers generally, your best sharers and all of those things. So long as you are engaged with your group, they're great. They're super. And Facebook ad questions is a perfect example of that. So if any of you all are watching and you're not a member of Facebook ad groups, ad questions, I'd encourage you to do that. Okay. Let's see what else. How important, I don't want to slaughter your name a second time. How important is it to do a deep dive survey before developing your product? What is the best way to get survey results through ads? I'm guessing an ethical trade is the best. And thanks, by the way, you're welcome. So for those of you who don't know what a deep dive survey is, it is part of Ryan Levesque's Ask method. And I'll tell you, I've debated this. In fact, Josh Marsden, who I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, I hope he doesn't mind, I referred to him now about 3 times, but I just happen to know, because we're working on some things together, that he's in Ryan Levesque's super duper big time mastermind group, and he's actually built out full funnels for some of his clients. And so we've been talking about this because of, and I'm just not convinced, honestly. Okay, it's sort of like here's my answer. To me, it's just like the top-down funnel. It's just that. If you have the time and the resource and the expertise to build that whole thing out, it's ideal. That is the best case scenario. I wish I could do it, but I can't. Do I think that I can find the 20% of that effort that gets me 80% of the results? I do. And the way I'm implementing that is not with the deep dive survey per se, but just with these Facebook ad assessments. And I feel like I'm able to get enough of the information that I need to put people in the proper buckets that Ryan wants. And the thing I probably don't get as much of, though, is their own language. I get some, with the open-ended question, but I feel like it's the 20%, that it's enough to move the lever. So that's my answer. I think it would be great if you can. I just can't, and I think most small businesses can't either. So I think this is going to be this big push that Ryan just did in his launch is going to be just another example of a thing that a bunch of people bought and are not going to be able to implement. Just my opinion. Okay. Joni says, should our ad be short and simple? I actually answered this. I think you just popped on after. I just answered something similar for Mark. His question was about long form copy. And my answer, and you can go back and watch it actually, but the short and sweet version of the answer is this: the length of the ad should be in direct proportion to the size of the ask. Actually, it's not direct, it's in an inverse proportion to the size of the ask. So when you're just sending them to content, it should be very short copy, just long enough to do the job. When you're asking for something big, like someone who doesn't know you to sign up for a webinar, you have to have a long copy. Now, let me just give you one other thought on that. That is my answer. This is just something to keep in the back of your head. I mentioned this in last week's episode on improving relevance score. One of the things that we believe Facebook is looking at on relevance score is how long you spend on an ad. So they look at time on site. How long, when someone clicks through, goes to your website, are they staying there before they come back to their newsfeed and keep scrolling? But we also believe that they are looking at how long are they staying on your ad. And it's why videos get such high relevance scores. They get like this 1 or 2 point boost just by virtue of the video, right? Because it takes a second even just to digest the video and move on. And so I'm not saying that you should write long form copy just for the sake of time on your ad, but if it's good copy and it's engaging copy and it serves a purpose, there is that additional benefit, which is that it appears, I believe, to Facebook as being more engaging and therefore more relevant. Just saying. Okay. Mark says, Facebook likes to fan page. My client isn't buying the need to grow Facebook likes for friends of friends audience building. Do you have any stats or recommendations on why this is a good strategy? Okay, well, let me just make a distinction here. I do not believe in likes for likes' sake. I would never run a like campaign. I would never run I don't like boosted posts. Neither one of those, okay? And the number of likes is, as I said to someone the other day in the Facebook ad questions group, is a bogus metric. That said, here's how it works. If you are running your campaigns properly, meaning you are sending ads for super relevant content to the right audiences and they land, they resonate, and people engage, you will automatically get likes from the right people. You don't want bot likes. You don't want to run contests. You don't want any of that, because those people are crap when you turn around and target them for an ad and or target their friends, because actually they really didn't have that deep an interest in the topic that you are trying to target, right? So, but if you attract them naturally, then that audience, that friends of fans audience, in my experience, works brilliantly. I mean, everybody talks about how well lookalikes are working these days and how Facebook's improved the algorithm. For me, that our audience is outperforming my lookalikes, even for my Sync to CRM user lookalikes. Now, does that mean it's going to be this exact same for you? It does not. We all know that. Okay, you have to test it. But it is, if you just think about it logically, right? The logic of that strategy is so obvious that to not have that in your tool belt and to try it would be silly, in my view. But specifically to your question, Mark, do I have stats or whatever? I don't. I can only say mine. There's no way, again, to say how one thing works for one person compared to another person. So I wish I did, but I don't. But maybe that will help. Show them this part of the Facebook Live. Okay, and then again, so with that relevance score, should we have a video ad and a video on the landing page from the ad? Absolutely. One of I think, and I'm not alone in this. I think everybody and their brother is understanding that Facebook is all in on video. Mark Zuckerberg has said so publicly on many occasions. Facebook Live itself, the reason I do it, and many others are too, is because he has chosen to give this a huge boost in reach because he's committed to video. He sees it as being the future. And the fact that it is what it is makes it more highly relevant. Not more relevant, that's wrong. It boosts relevance scores if you're doing it right. So for many reasons, I would say yes. If you can, and if you're reasonably comfortable with it, you should always be doing video. It's a little hard for all of us because it means you got to sit down and, get the camera out and all that stuff. But I mean, this is being shot on an iPhone, right? So my light is actually running out of juice, so my lighting may be failing me now. But yeah, do it. That's my advice. Okay, awesome. All right. Any other questions, you guys? Check this out. Like, finally, woohoo! The first Facebook Live I've done where I'm able to answer all the questions. I'm so excited, like I figured it out. Actually, I've hacked it is what I've done, but it's okay, it's working. How does Facebook Live increase relevance scores? Facebook, it's documented, they have said so publicly that they are boosting the reach on a Facebook Live. So while I am live, they are, so like if okay, let me back up. On the regular organic reach is that while I am, normally whatever I do, about 2% of my fans will see my face, whatever I post on my page, okay? But with Facebook Live, Facebook is automatically extending that reach. So sometimes you'll see a reach that is, 2 or 3x. In fact, just go look at this after I get up and see. So I have roughly 500 fans, I think, on this page. Maybe, I don't know. But look at the reach, and I bet it'll be much higher than that, or as high as that, and very quickly by the end of today, it'll be 2 and 3x that. So right there, Facebook just gives away reach on Facebook Live because they want it to be successful. The second thing is when you run ads to them, as I do, then if you're even halfway reasonable in how you're targeting them, you get an almost instant 10 on your relevance score. It's easy because, okay, wait, and let me just tell you another reason why. Look at what you guys are doing. And by the way, can I ask, would you all please hit the like and the share button for me if this has been a good broadcast for you? And there's a point here too, right? Hit the like button for me, you guys. Right now, let's see some little likes go across the screen. And I'm telling you why. See all these comments that I'm getting compared to a regular video when this, and I'm not getting any likes, and I'm not, you guys, I'm hurt and I'm offended. But the point is that this is getting engagement. Before it even gets out into the wild, you all are engaging with it. And so Facebook loves that. Right? So that helps. And then when I run an ad, and by the way, I got a meeting in 10 minutes, but I'm loving these questions. So I'm going to have to jump off here in a second. But when I run the ad, go look at episode number 10 of Facebook Live, where I talked about duplicating ad sets in order to keep aggregating the engagement on one post instead of cloning it and splitting the engagement. So if you do that compared with this, you just get you just get massive. Thanks, Ron. All right, so I guess I have to leave anyway. Let me tell you guys about, I don't know who, I guess it's who's he, what's it? All right. Well, if you can still hear me, let me just say synctoserum.com/EP12. And you guys have been wonderful, and I guess that's the hook dragging me off the stage. So leave your other questions and comments below. Thanks for the engagement, and I'll talk to you guys soon.